Hello there, this is Jen Kitzmiller with the National Weather Service in Missoula, and I have your planning briefing recorded on Thursday, July 1st. So a few key points. We are expecting thunderstorms, probably the most active day of thunderstorms today, Thursday, across much of western Montana and central Idaho. I'll have some details on some of those storms here shortly. The excessive heat continues. However, we are through what we think is the worst of the heat. So there's a slight amount of cooling that's going to be occurring moving forward. However, the heat will continue to be abnormally warm for this time of year going into the weekend and well into next week as well. Thunderstorm threat is going to continue going into the weekend, but the main focus of the thunderstorms for Friday and beyond shifts more to the south and east. And then just as a kind of heads up for next week, we are going to see some changes in the pattern that could lead to some periods of some breezy winds, which could be particularly concerning for any new fire starts we may get this week from lightning. And then overall, we're really not seeing a large-scale pattern change or any chance of widespread wetting rains as we head through much of next week. So here's a look at current satellite imagery. The high pressure that brought that record-breaking heat is weakening and flattening out slightly, with us here in central Idaho and western Montana more into a southwest flow. One feature I want to point out is this area of moisture in the form of clouds that's noticeable here across eastern Washington and Oregon. That's a plume of monsoonal moisture that is really moistening up the atmosphere and is going to add to the picture to bring those thunderstorms across much of the region later today. And here's just a look at that upper level pattern. So this is showing the jet stream with the brighter colors representing where the strongest winds in the jet stream are. And basically this is just to show you that southwest flow that's in place today with the main part of the ridge further off into eastern Montana. That has led to slight cooling, but again, as I mentioned, it's still abnormally hot for this time of year, though no longer maybe reaching into that record-breaking territory. This is a loop at one model's forecast for convection later today. And the main message that I really want to point out here is that it looks like there's pretty high likelihood that we will see storms. We already have a couple isolated storms across Limhi County and into southwest Montana here late or early this afternoon. But it looks like the main area of convection is going to form somewhere in the southern Bitterroot Mountains and along the Clearwater Mountains and shift northward through the afternoon so that it looks like it'll be approaching Missoula around 6 and then reaching up into west central Montana, the Salish Kootenai tribal area, and maybe even further north into northwest Montana overnight tonight. So the main focus of thunderstorms does still look like it's going to be across the Bitterroot northwards through the Lolo National Forest. With those storms, they overall look like they're going to be moving pretty slow, and with an anomalous amount of moisture that's moved in with that monsoonal plume that I showed you on satellite imagery, these storms will be capable of producing very heavy rainfall right under their cores. So we're not expecting widespread heavy rain, but if you end up right underneath the thunderstorm, there should be some decent rainfall with those storms. The worry then comes with any lightning that is outside of the thunderstorm cores that would see less precipitation and could be an issue for potential fire starts. The other concern that we have today is gusty outflow winds with these storms, especially as the initial storms form and start to move northward later this afternoon and early evening. We could see wind gusts, 40 to 50 miles per hour, and some of our high resolution models are hinting at some isolated wind gusts to 60 miles per hour. We don't have as much confidence in that, but it is there is some potential for that here later today. This is the probability of lightning, and this is specifically cloud-to-ground lightning within 10 miles of any particular point. And so the image on the left kind of spans the 4 p.m. this afternoon through 8 p.m. this afternoon. And again, you'll see that main focus kind of on the Bitterroot Mountains, Sapphire Mountains, and Bitterroot Valley, northward to about Missoula. And then that area is showing anywhere from an 80 to 90% chance of seeing a cloud-to-ground lightning strike within 10 miles of any particular point. So that's pretty high probabilities here this afternoon. And then as we look on the right image, this is from 8 p.m. to midnight, and you'll see that that probability shifts a little further northward from Missoula up into Lake County, the Salish Kootenai tribal areas, and possibly up along the Continental Divide. So again, that just goes back to that radar image that I showed with those convection expected to move northward slowly through the afternoon and evening. So this just gives you an idea of where the greater threat of seeing thunderstorms later today might be. Now, as we move into tomorrow, the upper level ridge does flatten a bit more. So there's still going to be potential for thunderstorms. However, that potential kind of shifts south and eastward. And so you'll see here our main threat areas end up being over Limhi County, into southwest Montana, up to maybe about Butte to Deer Lodge, somewhere in there. That looks like our main area of focus. As you go further north and further west, the chances of lightning greatly diminish. And one concern we have, particularly across southwest Montana, including the Beaverhead Deer Lodge National Forest, is that tomorrow's storms will be moving a little more quickly. There's a little bit less available moisture in the atmosphere. So any storms that form down here tomorrow in particular have a better chance of not having much measurable precipitation with them, which could be a concern for fire starts, etc. So just something to be aware of for Friday. Now, as we move into the weekend, the pattern continues to weaken a bit with high pressure being suppressed further to the south. And we end up with more of a weak southwest to westerly flow over us. So temperatures will continue to very slowly cool, especially by early next week. We'll still, as I mentioned, be well above normal for temperatures, but the excessive heat that we've seen with well over 100 degrees, especially in central Idaho, that should for the most part be done. But I bring this up because as that flow pattern flattens and the ridge gets shifted further to our south, that does open us up for some wind potential going into next week. Right now it's looking like possibly Tuesday to Wednesday could be a day of concern where we see a little bit more potential for wind. The details on that are still a little bit hazy, but it is a watch out kind of scenario, especially given all the lightning that is possible here today and tomorrow. So here's our weather threat matrix. Friday's highlighted in red, particularly across southwest Montana due to the thunderstorm potential, and north central Idaho just because there's still another day of pretty warm temperatures where heat risk could be a concern for sensitive groups. As we move forward with time, the heat, as I mentioned, tapers off a bit, still above normal, but maybe not as much of a concern for folks as what we've seen earlier this week. And then we highlighted Tuesday back up in orange, and that's due to that combination of dry and windy conditions that look possible as the upper level pattern flattens a bit more. So that's all I have for today. As always, you're all welcome to give us a call anytime if you have any questions or concerns. And otherwise, we will do our next briefing on Sunday. Thank you.